Episode 30, The Weight of Choice. The morning arrived too quickly. Dex woke to find Elara already dressed, standing at the viewport, watching maintenance drones glide across the station's hull. Her reflection in the glass showed dark circles under her eyes. She hadn't slept much either. 18 hours, she said without turning. War-Master Vek'thar arrives in 12. The inquiry reconvenes in 18. Dex sat up, running his hands through his hair. Across 17 dimensions, he could see the probability streams converging toward this single point in time. Every choice he'd made since destroying the Crucible had led here. Every choice he would make after would stem from what happened today. I keep thinking about what Garrett said, Dex murmured. About fear, meaning you're still human. Elara turned, her expression soft. You're terrified. Completely. He stood, moving to join her at the viewport. Does that make me a coward? It makes you sane. She leaned against him, and the quantum entanglement between their consciousness steadied his perception. The precursors lost their fear when they transcended. Look what happened to them. A maintenance drone passed close to the viewport, its manipulator arms adjusting a sensor array with practiced precision. Dex felt a pang of longing for that simple certainty, a programmed task, a clear objective, no cosmic consequences. Breakfast first, Elara decided. Then Sarah Chen. Then we face the rest of it. Dex nodded, grateful for her ability to reduce impossible situations to manageable steps. One choice at a time. One choice at a time, she agreed. The commissary was surprisingly empty at 600 hours. Garrett sat alone at their usual table near the viewport, 2 cups of coffee already waiting. He looked up as they approached, his weathered face creasing into a tired smile. Figured you'd show up early, Garrett said. Old habits. Dex slid into the seat across from him, wrapping his hands around the warm cup. Across multiple dimensions, he could see the quantum signature of Garrett's consciousness. Steady, grounded, anchored to physical reality in ways Dex envied. No probability clouds, no branching futures. Just a man drinking coffee, worried about his friend. I've been thinking about what you said, Dex began. About me hiding for 6 years. Garrett took a slow sip of his coffee. Wasn't meant as criticism, kid. Just observation. I know, Dex stared into his cup. But you were right. I was afraid of being seen. Afraid of what I might become if people noticed me. And now the whole galaxy's watching, Garrett said quietly. Can't hide anymore. No. Dex met his mentor's eyes. I can't, and that terrifies me more than the Crucible did. At least with the Crucible, I knew what I was refusing. Accepting the seeker role means accepting that I'll change. That I'll have to change, and I don't know what I'll become. Elara's hand found his under the table, fingers interlacing. Her touch anchored him, reminded him he wasn't alone in this. Garrett was quiet for a long moment, studying Dex with the same careful attention he'd once used to evaluate maintenance reports. Finally, he spoke. You know what I learned in 40 years of fixing things? The best repairs aren't about making something exactly like it was before. They're about making it stronger where it broke. Dex frowned. I don't understand. You broke when you faced the Crucible, Garrett explained. Not in a bad way. You broke open, cracked your shell, and now you're putting yourself back together, but you're not trying to be the same person you were before. You're building something stronger. What if I build something wrong? Dex asked. What if I become something I shouldn't? Then your friends will tell you, Garrett said simply. That's what we're here for, to remind you who you are when you forget. Elara squeezed Dex's hand. We're not letting you face this alone, remember? Across the commissary, a group of off-duty Marines entered, their conversation stopping abruptly when they spotted Dex. He felt their stares, saw the mixture of awe and fear in their expressions. Half the station celebrated him as a hero, half feared him as a threat. None of them saw him as just a maintenance worker anymore. That person was gone, had been gone since the moment he'd agreed to help Elara with the data relay. Maybe even before that. Maybe he'd been gone the moment Admiral Strand had looked at him in the corridor and seen something Dex himself hadn't recognized. I'm going to accept, Dex said quietly. The seeker role. I'm going to say yes. Garrett nodded slowly. Figured you would. You're not the type to let someone else make the hard choices. Zhao would corrupt it, Dex continued. Sarah showed me her brother's journals. I saw when the certainty took hold. when he stopped questioning himself and started believing he alone understood the full picture. Zhao has that same dangerous certainty. If he finds the other artifacts, then he'll fail their tests the same way 17 civilizations failed before him, Garrett finished, because he'll approach them wanting to control them, not learn from them. Exactly. Dex took a sip of coffee, letting the familiar bitterness ground him in the moment. I don't want this. I'm terrified of what it'll cost, but refusing just because I'm afraid, that's still letting fear control me. Just in a different way. Elara smiled, pride evident in her expression. That's the most mature thing I've heard you say. Don't get used to it, Dex replied with a weak grin. I'm still the guy who used to hide in maintenance tunnels to avoid social interactions. Used to. Garrett emphasized. Past tense, the person you're becoming doesn't hide. They finished their coffee in comfortable silence, watching the station wake around them. Shift changes, personnel rotations, the endless rhythm of life aboard Starbase 447. Dex tried to memorize this moment. The simple pleasure of breakfast with friends, the weight of a coffee cup in his hands, the warmth of Elara beside him. After today, everything would change. The Seeker's path would take him to distant stars, ancient ruins, tests that would challenge everything he believed about consciousness and existence. Years of his life, maybe decades, devoted to a quest the precursors had designed 3 million years ago. But for now, he was still just Dex Holloway, drinking bad commissary coffee with people who cared about him, one choice at a time. Sarah Chen's quarters were in the civilian residential section, decorated with careful precision that spoke of a mind that needed order. Photographs lined the walls. Family gatherings, academy graduations, a younger version of Sarah with her arm around her brother's shoulders, both of them smiling. Dex stared at that photograph while Sarah made tea. Admiral Chen looked so different there. Younger, less hardened, his eyes clear and untroubled. Before the certainty had taken hold, before Project Reclamation had consumed him. That was taken 15 years ago, Sarah said, returning with 2 cups, before he made Admiral, before everything went wrong. Dex accepted the tea, settling onto her couch. Elara had offered to come, but he'd asked to do this alone. Some conversations required privacy. I read his journals, Sarah continued, sitting across from him. All of them, from his academy days through his final entries before Vek'thar. Sarah, I'm sorry. Don't. She held up a hand. I didn't ask you here for apologies. I asked you here because I need to understand when it started. When my brother stopped being the person I knew and became someone who could orchestrate the deaths of thousands. Dex sipped his tea, giving her space to continue. I found it, Sarah said quietly. The exact moment. 3 years ago, after the Korvathi incident, he wrote about how the diplomatic corps had failed, how the translators had missed crucial context, how if he'd been in charge, he could have prevented the whole disaster. Dex remembered the Korvathi incident, a translation error that had nearly sparked a war. Elara had been part of the team that had failed to catch the mistake. She'd carried guilt about it for years. That's when the certainty started, Sarah continued. That absolute conviction that he alone could see the full picture, that everyone else was blind or incompetent or deliberately obstructing his vision. And once that certainty took hold, it consumed everything else, Dex finished softly. I've seen it. In the probability streams, people who claim absolute certainty about what must be done, they stop questioning themselves, stop doubting, and doubt is what keeps us human. Sarah's eyes were red but dry. She'd cried herself out already. Representative Zhao has the same certainty. I see it in how he talks about you, about the artifacts, about humanity's destiny. He believes he knows what's best for the galaxy. I know, Dex said. That's why I can't let him become the Seeker. Sarah nodded slowly. Good, because my brother's certainty killed thousands. Zhao's certainty could kill millions. They sat in silence for a moment, the weight of that realization hanging between them. I want you to know something, Sarah finally said. What you did at Vek'thar, killing my brother, I don't blame you for it. He would have killed you and Dr. Voss. He would have claimed the Crucible and used it to reshape the galaxy according to his vision. You stopped him. It doesn't make it easier, Dex admitted, taking a life, even when there's no choice. No, Sarah agreed. It shouldn't be easy. The moment it becomes easy is the moment you've lost something essential. She paused. That's the difference between you and my brother. He made taking lives easy, justified it with his certainty. You still carry the weight. Dex thought about Admiral Chen falling into the canyon, his scream echoing across dimensions. He'd unmade the ground beneath Chen's feet, literally erased reality to stop him. The power had responded to his desperate need to protect Elara, but the choice had been his. He would carry that weight forever. And Sarah was right. That was how it should be. I'm going to accept the Seeker role, Dex told her. I'll announce it at the inquiry today. Sarah smiled, sad but genuine. I thought you might. You're not the type to run from responsibility. I'm terrified, Dex confessed, of what I'll become, of what the other artifacts will do to me, of losing myself the way the precursors did. Then you're already ahead of my brother, Sarah said. He stopped being afraid. Stopped questioning himself. You're still afraid, still doubting. That means you're still human. Dex finished his tea, setting the cup down carefully. Thank you for telling me about your brother, for helping me understand. Thank you for stopping him, Sarah replied, and for giving me closure. The inquiry testimony, hearing you explain what he became, what he tried to do, it helped me accept that the brother I knew was already gone. You didn't kill the person I loved. You stopped the person he'd become. Dex stood, and Sarah walked him to the door. Before he left, she caught his arm. One more thing, she said. When you face those other artifacts, when they test you, remember that doubt is your strength, not your weakness. The moment you stop questioning yourself is the moment you've failed. I'll remember, Dex promised. As he walked back through the corridors toward his quarters, Dex felt lighter somehow. Sarah's words had given him something he hadn't realized he needed. Permission to be afraid, to doubt, to question. The precursors had lost those things when they transcended. They'd gained infinite knowledge and lost their humanity in the exchange. Dex wouldn't make that mistake. Elara was waiting in their quarters, along with Admiral Strand, war poet Crucible, and Garrett. They'd gathered without being asked, drawn together by shared purpose. How did it go? Elara asked as Dex entered. Better than expected, Dex replied. She helped me understand something important. Crucible's massive form shifted, ceremonial scars glowing faintly. The sister of the fallen warrior sought blade truth. Something like that, Dex agreed. He looked around at the assembled group, his found family, his support system, the people who would anchor him to humanity as he walked the Seeker's path. I wanted you all here because I've made my decision. Strand straightened, military bearing automatic. And I'm going to accept, Dex said simply. I'll announce it at the inquiry. I'm going to become the Seeker. Garrett smiled, weathered face creasing with pride. Knew you would. The Thryn stand with Pattern Breaker, Crucible declared. War-Master Vek'thar comes to witness this moment. His presence honors your choice. I've drafted a statement, Strand offered, pulling out a datapad. Diplomatic language carefully calibrated for... No, Dex interrupted gently. Thank you, but no. I'm going to speak in my own words. No diplomatic polish. Just me. Strand raised an eyebrow. Representative Zhao will use that against you. He'll claim you're unprofessional, unqualified. Let him, Dex said. I'm not trying to win a political debate. I'm accepting a responsibility, and I'm going to do it honestly. Elara moved to his side, taking his hand. What are you going to say? Dex pulled out his own datapad, showing them the words he'd written in the early hours of the morning. I'm accepting the role of Seeker, not because I want it, but because refusing would be worse. Representative Zhao believes he can control the artifacts, weaponize them for humanity's benefit. But the Crucible taught me that's exactly the wrong approach. The precursors left these artifacts as tests, not tools. They're meant to teach us about consciousness, not give us power over others. I'm terrified of what this path will cost. I'm afraid of what I'll become. But fear is what keeps me human. Doubt is what keeps me questioning. And those are the qualities the Seeker needs. Someone who refuses to claim certainty, who accepts that consciousness is messy and complicated and beautiful precisely because it's uncertain. I destroyed the Crucible because it promised power at the cost of everything that makes us who we are. I'm accepting the Seeker role because the other 11 artifacts deserve someone who understands that lesson. Someone who will learn from them, rather than trying to control them. I'm not a hero. I'm not a prophet. I'm just someone who paid attention when everyone else looked away, and I'm choosing to keep paying attention, even when it's terrifying. One choice at a time. It's all any of us can do. Silence filled the room as they finished reading. It's perfect, Elara said softly. It's authentic, Garrett agreed. That's what matters. Kreshtal's deep rumble filled the space. Blade truth. The Thrin honor this. Even Strand nodded slowly. It won't play well with certain political factions, but it's honest. And right now, honesty might be your greatest weapon. Dex felt the weight of their support, the quantum entanglement between their consciousness and his own. He wasn't alone in this. Whatever the Seeker's path demanded, he would face it with these people beside him. The inquiry reconvenes in 14 hours, Strand said. War-Master Vek'thar arrives in 8. I've arranged for you to meet him privately before the session begins. A Thrin War-Master has never visited this station, Kreshtal added. His presence will shift the political calculations. Zhao's coalition will arrive too late to counter it. Dex nodded, trying to process the scope of what was happening. A War-Master traveling to witness his declaration. 5,000 observers gathering to watch. Representatives from 43 species confirming attendance. This wasn't just a personal choice anymore. It was a galactic event. The maintenance worker who'd spent 6 years staying invisible was about to step into the brightest spotlight imaginable. I need some time alone with Elara, Dex said, before everything starts. The others understood, filing out with quiet words of support. Kreshtal paused at the door, turning back. Pattern breaker, the Thrin warrior said. The path you walk, it is blade edge between becoming and remaining. The precursors fell because they chose becoming over remaining. You must walk both sides of the blade. I don't understand, Dex admitted. Kreshtal's ceremonial scars pulsed. You will. When the other artifacts test you, you will understand. Remain who you are while becoming what you must. This is the Seeker's burden. Then the Thrin was gone, leaving Dex and Elara alone. Elara pulled him close, resting her head against his chest. Across 17 dimensions, Dex felt their quantum entanglement strengthen, their consciousness interweaving in ways that defied physical description. I'm scared? Dex whispered. I know, Elara replied. So am I. What if I lose myself? What if the artifacts change me into something you don't recognize? Then I'll remind you who you are, she said firmly. That's my job now, keeping you anchored while you do impossible things. Dex held her tighter, grateful beyond words for her presence. I love you. I love you too, Elara replied, and we're going to face this together. Every artifact, every test, every impossible choice. Together. They stood there in the quiet of their quarters, holding each other, while the station bustled around them. In 14 hours, Dex would stand before the galaxy and accept a responsibility that would define the rest of his life. In 8 hours, he would meet a War-Master who traveled across star systems to witness this moment. But for now, he was just Dex Holloway, holding the woman he loved, taking comfort in her presence and her promise. One choice at a time. Across 17 dimensions, the precursors watched with something like hope, curious to see what their failed test would teach the species that had finally broken their 3-million-year pattern. The future remained uncertain, probability streams collapsing and branching with every heartbeat. But in this moment, Dex Holloway knew exactly who he was and what he would become. It would have to be enough.
Thanks for watching our stories. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more epic adventures. Thanks for watching our stories. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more epic adventures.